시청자 여러분 안녕하십니까? 전 세계 교회와 선교지 소식 전해드리는 CGN월드뉴스 정은지입니다. 첫 번째 소식, CBN에서 보낸 소식부터 전해드립니다. 12만 명의 아르메니아 소수민족과 크리스천들이 집단학살 위기에 놓였다며 인권단체들이 우려를 표했습니다. 아제르바이잔의 군사 공격에 아르메니아인들이 자국을 탈출하고 있습니다. 수천 명의 아르메니아인들이 나고르노 카라바흐를 떠나는 영상과 사진이 공개되면서 인권단체들을 충격에 빠뜨렸습니다.
This is a recipe for mass atrocities.
국제기독연대의 조엘 벨드캠프는 아르메니아와 아제르바이잔 사이에 내륙 지역에 사는 사람들에게 최악의 때는 아직 오지 않았다며 우려합니다. 아제르바이잔 군대는 휴전 발표 직전에 공격을 감행했습니다. 불확실성은 여전히 큽니다.
This is being widely reported as a ceasefire. Many journalists, many observers seem to think that this means that the fighting is over, the violence is over, the danger is over. That is not true at all. This is the most dangerous moment right now.
벨드캠프는 아르메니아인들이 결국 항복한 것과 같기 때문에 그들에 대한 학대, 혼란, 폭력은 계속될 것이라고 말했습니다.
The government of the Republic of Artsakh surrendered to the invading forces of Azerbaijan. They agreed to disband all of their self-defense forces, to lay down their weapons, and to hold negotiations on quote-unquote reintegration into Azerbaijan.
벨드캠프는 12만 명의 아르메니아인들이 아직 점령 지역에 갇혀 있다며 염려했습니다.
There has been no electricity for most of the population of Nagorno-Karabakh for 43 hours now. That means that people have not been able to charge their cell phones or their computers. People aren't able to communicate about what's happening to them. Azerbaijani troops have occupied the country. They control most of the main roads. There are many, many villages that are cut off from the rest of Nagorno-Karabakh.
아르메니아와 아제르바이잔은 수십 년간 영토를 두고 치열한 전쟁을 벌였습니다. 지난 12월에는 아제르바이잔의 봉쇄로 식량, 의약품 등 생필품 공급이 차단되면서 긴장감이 다시 고조됐습니다.
This is an area of Armenia, Nagorno-Karabakh, that has been contested for many years, largely because when the Soviet Union took over Armenia, it carved it up with Azerbaijan and many of the other countries in strange ways. So there's a little area of Armenia. It has historically been filled with Armenians, Armenian cultures, the Christian faith.
3년 전 아제르바이잔은 나고르노 카라바흐를 점령하기 위해 공격했습니다. 글로벌 크리스천 릴리프의 데이비드 커리 회장은 아제르바이잔의 최근의 공격들은 그 목표를 이루기 위한 것이라고 봅니다.
They're intensifying this and trying to push out all of the ethnic Armenians and Christians within this region.
전문가들은 국제사회가 신속하게 나서지 않으면 세계에서 가장 오래된 기독교 국가 가운데 하나인 아르메니아가 두 번째 집단학살을 당할 위기에 놓여 있다며 우려합니다.
How could we be so far away from our brothers and sisters? How can we be so ignorant about the first Christian nation, about the first nation in the 20th century to experience a real genocide? What is wrong with us?
벨드캠프는 전 세계 크리스천들에게 중보 기도를 요청하고 서구권 지도자들이 개입해 아르메니아인들의 생명을 구해야 한다고 촉구했습니다. 이어서 CBN의 척 홀튼 기자가 아르메니아와 관련해 자세한 소식 전해드립니다. 일각에서 제기되는 아르메니아인 집단학살 우려는 아제르바이잔의 끊임없는 위협에서 비롯됐습니다.
Accused of the genocide because the Azeris have said that they planned a genocide, and as a matter of fact, the president of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, said just recently in a speech that all of Armenian land is Azerbaijan, which is very interesting considering the fact that Azerbaijan didn't exist before about 1917, and Armenians have literally been on that land since the time of Noah.
아르메니아와 아제르바이잔 사이의 분쟁은 종교 전쟁으로 비추어지곤 하지만 그 이상의 의미가 있습니다.
There is more to it than just a religious conflict. It's basically when the Soviet Union was in control of that area. Stalin was very concerned about the Armenian population because they were very powerful and very patriotic and very homogenous. And so he specifically tried to break up the region by creating these little exclaves. There's actually 5 exclaves of Armenians inside Azerbaijan, and there's 5 exclaves inside Armenia that were mostly Azeri. Now, the Azeris are pretty much people from northern Iran, and there are still a lot of Azeris in Iran to this day. And the real concern here is that Azerbaijan is not going to stop by just taking over this one exclave. They're literally talking about taking all of Armenia. This is a tiny country of 2.5 million people, mostly Christians, and they're very concerned. They have very similar situation to what we see in Israel, where everywhere they look, they see enemies who want to destroy them. And so they are calling on the world to say, look, if you're standing for Ukraine being attacked by a foreign country, then you ought to be standing for Armenia as well.
아르메니아는 미국을 비롯한 서구권의 개입을 간절히 바라고 있지만 척 홀튼 기자는 미국이 나서기에는 복잡한 문제라고 설명했습니다.
This is a very complex issue because Armenia really only has one big brother in that region, and that's Russia. And of course, the United States doesn't want to ally with a country that's allied with Russia. But, and at the same time, we are ostensibly NATO allies with Turkey and Azerbaijan are good friends, and we're still giving military aid to Azerbaijan, which absolutely should not be happening. So the United States could definitely put a lot of pressure on Turkey and Azerbaijan to knock it off and to quit bothering Armenia. But when we actually sent some U.S. troops over there to do the first ever joint military drills with Armenia just last week, Russia got very upset about that, and some people say actually gave the green light to Azerbaijan for this attack. So if the more Armenia tries to cozy up to the United States, the more they're going to get attacked by Russia and Azerbaijan and even Turkey. Wow. And it's just a very complex and thorny issue, and unfortunately, Armenia doesn't have many good options right now.
아르메니아는 가장 오래된 기독교 국가 가운데 하나입니다. 아르메니아 크리스천들은 여전히 굳건합니다.
They became a Christian country in 301 AD, and they are still a very devout Christian country to this day. I've spent a lot of time over there, and so American Christians, if you stand for Israel, you should be standing for Armenia. There's just no two ways about that. And we need to pray and support our Christian brothers and sisters in that region and try to put pressure on our political, our Congress people to stand up and support them as well.
척 홀튼 기자는 이스라엘을 지지하는 크리스천들에게 아르메니아를 지지해 주기를 당부했습니다.